Bible in a Year Life, Chronological Project, Week 35, Day 1, New American Standard Bible. Daniel is terrified by a vision. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belshazzar. And the message was true, and it concerned great conflict. But he understood the message and had an understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 entire weeks. I did not eat any tasty food, nor did meat or wine enter my mouth, nor did I use any ointment at all until the entire 3 weeks were completed. On the 24th day of the 1st month, while I was by the bank of the great river, that is, the Tigris, I raised my eyes and looked, and behold, there was a man dressed in linen, whose waist had a belt of pure gold of Uphaz. His body also was like topaz. His face had the appearance of lightning. His eyes were like flaming torches. His arms and feet like the gleam of a polished bronze, and the sound of his words like the sound of a multitude. Now I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, while the men who were with me did not see the vision. Nevertheless, a great fear fell on them, and they ran away to hide themselves. So I was left alone and saw this great vision, yet no strength was left in me, for my complexion turned to a deathly pallor, and I retained no strength. But I heard the sound of his words, and as soon as I heard the sound of his words, I fell into a deep sleep on my face, with my face to the ground. Daniel comforted. Then behold, a hand touched me and shook me on my hands and knees, and he said to me, Daniel, you who are treasured, understand the words that I am about to tell you, and stand at your place, for I have now been sent to you. And when he had spoken this word to me, I stood up, trembling. Then he said to me, Do not be afraid, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart on understanding this, and on humbling yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia was standing in my way for 21 days. Then behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left there with the kings of Persia. Now I have come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the latter days, because the vision pertains to the days still future. When he had spoken to me according to these words, I turned my face toward the ground and became speechless. And behold, one who resembled a human was touching my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke and said to him who was standing before me, My Lord, due to the vision, anguish has come upon me, and I have retained no strength. For how can such a servant of my Lord talk with such as my Lord? As for me, there remains just now no strength in me, nor has any breath been left in me. Then this one with human appearance touched me again and strengthened me, and he said, You who are treasured, do not be afraid. Peace be to you. Take courage and be courageous. Now, as soon as he spoke to me, I felt strengthened and said, May my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said to me, Do you understand why I came to you? But I shall now return to fight against the prince of Persia. So I am leaving, and behold, the prince of Greece is about to come. However, I will tell you what is recorded in the writings of truth. Yet there is no one who stands firmly with me against these forces except Michael, your prince. Conflicts to come. In the 1st year of Darius the Mede, I arose to be of assistance and a protection for him. And now I will tell you the truth. Behold, 3 more kings are going to arise in Persia. Then a 4th will gain far more riches than all of them. As soon as he becomes strong through his riches, he will stir up the entire empire against the realm of Greece. And a mighty king will arise, and he will rule with great authority and do as he pleases. But as soon as he has arisen, his kingdom will be broken up and parceled out toward the 4 points of the compass, though not to his own descendants, nor according to his authority which he wielded, because his sovereignty will be removed and given to others besides them. Then the king of the south will grow strong, along with one of his princes, who will gain ascendancy over him and rule. His domain will be a great realm indeed, and after some years they will form an alliance, and the daughter of the king of the south will come to the king of the north to reach an agreement. But she will not protect her position of power, nor will he remain with his power, but she will be given up along with those who brought her in, and the one who fathered her, as well as he who supported her in those times. But one of the descendants of her line will arise in his place, and he will come against their army, and enter the fortress of the king of the north, and he will deal with them and prevail. And he will also take into captivity to Egypt their gods with their cast metal images, and their precious vessels of silver and gold, and he, on his part, will refrain from attacking the king of the north for some years. Then the latter will enter the realm of the king of the south, but will return to his own land. And his sons will mobilize and assemble a multitude of great forces, and one of them will keep on coming and overflow and pass through, so that he may again wage war up to his fortress. And the king of the south will be enraged, and go out and fight with the king of the north. Then the latter will rise a great multitude, and that multitude will be handed over to the former. When the multitude is carried away, his heart will be haughty, and he will cause tens of thousands to fall, yet he will not prevail. For the king of the north will again rise a greater multitude than the former, and after an interval of some years, he will press on with a great army and much equipment. Now, in those times, many will rise up against the king of the south. The violent ones among your people will also raise themselves up to fulfill the vision, but they will fall down. Then the king of the north will come, pile up an assault ramp, and capture a well-fortified city. And the forces of the south will not stand their ground, not even their choicest troops, for there will be no strength to make a stand. But he who comes against him will do as he pleases, and no one will be able to withstand him. He will also stay for a time in the beautiful land, with destruction in his hand. And he will set his mind on coming with the power of his entire kingdom, bringing with him a proposal of peace, which he will put into effort. He will also give him the daughter of women to ruin it, and she will not take a stand for him or be on his side. Then he will turn his face to the coastlands and capture many. But a commander will put a stop to his taunting against him. Moreover, he will repay him for his taunting. So he will turn his face toward the fortresses of his own land, but he will stumble and fall and not be found. Then, in his place, one will arise who will allow an oppressor to pass through the jewel of his kingdom. Yet, within a few days, he will be broken, though not in anger nor in battle. And in his place, a despicable person will arise, on whom the majesty of kingship has not been conferred, but he will come in a time of tranquility and seize the kingdom by intrigue, and the overflowing forces will be flooded away from him and smashed, and also the prince of the covenant. After an alliance is made with him, he will practice deception, and he will go up and gain power with a small force of people. In a time of tranquility, he will enter the richest parts of the realm, and he will accomplish what his fathers did not, nor his ancestors. He will distribute plunder, spoils, and possessions among them, and he will devise his schemes against strongholds, but only for a time. And he will stir up his strength and courage against the king of the south with a large army. So the king of the south will mobilize an extremely large and mighty army for war. But he will not stand, because schemes will be devised against him. Those who eat his choice food will destroy him, and his army will overflow, but many will fall down slain. As for both kings, their hearts will be intent on evil, and they will speak lies to each other at the same table. But it will not succeed, because the end is still to come at the appointed time. Then he will return to his land with much plunder, but his heart will be set against the holy covenant, and he will take action and then return to his own land. At the appointed time, he will return and come into the south, but this time it will not turn out the way it did before. For ships of Kittim will come against him. Therefore, he will withdraw in fear, and will return and curse the holy covenant and take action. So he will come back and pay attention to those who abandon the holy covenant. Forces from him will arise, desecrate the sanctuary fortress, and do away with the regular sacrifice. And they will set up the abomination of desolation, and by smooth words he will turn to godlessness those who act wickedly toward the covenant. But the people who know their God will be strong and take action, and those who have insight among the people will give understanding to the many. Yet they will fall by sword and by flame, by captivity and by plunder for many days. Now, when they fall, they will be granted a little help, and many will join with them in hypocrisy. And some of those who have insight will fall, to refine, purge, and cleanse them until the end time, because it is still to come at the appointed time. Then the king will do as he pleases, and he will exalt himself and boast against every god, and will speak dreadful things against the God of gods. And he will be successful until the indignation is finished, because that which is determined will be done. And he will show no regard for the gods of his fathers, or for the desire of women, nor will he show regard for any other god, for he will boast against them all. But instead he will honor a God of fortresses, a God whom his fathers did not know. He will honor him with gold, silver, precious stones, and treasures. And he will take action against the strongest of fortresses, with the help of a foreign god. He will give great honor to those who acknowledge him, and will make them rulers over the many, and will parcel out land for a price. And at the end time, the king of the south will wage war with him, and the king of the north will storm against him with chariots, horsemen, and with many ships. And he will enter countries, overflow them, and pass through. He will also enter the beautiful land, and many countries will fall, and these will be rescued out of his hand: Edom, Moab, and the foremost of the sons of Ammon. Then he will reach out with his hand against other countries, and the land of Egypt will not escape. But he will gain control over the hidden treasures of gold and silver, and over the precious things of Egypt, and Libyans and Ethiopians will follow at his heel. But rumors from the east and from the north will terrify him, and he will go out with great wrath to eliminate and annihilate them. And he will pitch the tents of his royal pavilion between the seas and the beautiful mountains, yet he will come to his end, and no one will help him. The end of time. Now at that time, Michael, the great prince who stands guard over the sons of your people, will arise, and there will be a time of distress, such as never occurred since there was a nation until that time. And at that time your people, everyone who is found written in the book, will be rescued. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the ground will awake, these to everlasting life, but the others to disgrace and everlasting contempt. And those who have insight will shine like the glow of the expanse of heaven, and those who lead the many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But as for you, Daniel, keep these words sacred, and seal up the book until the end of time. Many will roam about, and knowledge will increase. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, two others were standing, one on this bank of the stream, and the other on that bank of the stream. And someone said to the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the stream, How long will it be unto the end of these wonders? And I heard the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the stream, as he raised his right hand and his left towards heaven, and swore by him who lives forever, that it would be for a time, times, and half a time. And as soon as they finished smashing the power of the holy people, all these events will be completed. But as for me, I heard but did not understand. So I said, My Lord, what will be the outcome of these events? And he said, Go your way, Daniel, for these words will be kept secret and sealed up until the end. Many will be purged, cleansed, and refined, but the wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand, but those who have insight will understand. And from the time that the regular sacrifice is abolished and the abomination of desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed is the one who is patient and attends to the 1,335 days. But as for you, go your way to the end. Then you will rest and rise for your allotted portion at the end of the age. Then work on the house of God in Jerusalem was discontinued, and it was stopped until the 2nd year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia. The temple work resumed. When the prophets, Haggai the prophet, and Zechariah the son of Iddo, prophesied to the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem in the name of God Israel, who was over them. Haggai begins temple building. In the 2nd year of Darius the king, on the 1st day of the 6th month, the word of the Lord came by the prophet Haggai to Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, saying, This is what the Lord of armies says. This people says, The time has not come, the time for the house of the Lord to be rebuilt. Then the word of the Lord came to Haggai the prophet, saying, Is it time for you yourselves to live in your paneled houses while this house remains desolate? Now then, the Lord of armies says this: Consider your ways. You have sown much, only to harvest little. You eat, but there is not enough to be satisfied. You drink, but there is not enough to become drunk. You put on clothing, but there is not enough for anyone to get warm. And the one who earns wages to put into a money bag full of holes. The Lord of armies says this: Consider your ways. Go up to the mountains, bring wood, and rebuild the temple, that I may be pleased with it and be honored, says the Lord. You start an ambitious project, but behold, it comes to little. When you bring it home, I blow it away. Why? Declares the Lord of armies. It is because of my house, which remains desolate, while each of you runs to his own house. Therefore, because of you, the sky has withheld its dew, and the earth has withheld its produce. And I called for a drought on the land, on the mountains, on the grain, on the new wine, on the oil, on what the ground produces, on mankind, on the cattle, and on all the products of the labor of your hands. Then Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, with all the remnant of the people, obeyed the voice of the Lord their God and the words of Haggai the prophet, just as the Lord their God had sent him, and the people showed reverence for the Lord. Then Haggai, the messenger of the Lord, spoke by the commission of the Lord to the people, saying, I am with you, declares the Lord. So the Lord stirred up the spirits of Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua the son of Jehozadak the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people, and they came and worked on the house of the Lord of armies their God, on the 24th day of the 6th month, in the 2nd year of Darius the king.